Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a new ProRevenge story and one from the archives. First one, I got fired for a dime, but did I get revenge? Let's jump right in. Consider hitting that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. This happened years ago. My actual first job working for a pay, we got paid in cash. This is important later. Just a little background. My first job was working at a local drive-in. Yes, I'm that old. Anyway, anyone who has worked in a movie house knows how much work there is to do for an insanely short period of time, and then it just drops off. Same with the drive-in, only the folks never stopped coming in, and at intermission it was chaotic. When our shift started, we had to make popcorn for the entrance. We sold boxes there, enough for the snack bar to use, boil the hot dogs, and set up the french fries to drop and get the oil heated up for steak fingers, fries, tots, etc. So there was a lot of activity when we started. Our manager at the time was a 30-ish guy whose wife managed one of the other drive-ins close by. He was a tyrant, had us come in on Sundays to fix speakers without pay, because in his words, we got paid for doing this job during the week. This drive-in was the only two-screen drive-in in town. That meant on any given night, there would be 2 prime movies followed by a B movie on each screen, the kind you might use for other activities at a drive-in. Our work rotation consisted of cashier and ticket at the gate, sometimes 2 pair for a new release, and 5 to 6 working the snack bar. We all rotated jobs, so everyone had a chance to work at the gate. Whoever was giving tickets had to wear a pair of white overalls, as dealing with a lot of cars, things could get messy. The ticket part of the job was to take the money from the driver, hand it to the cashier, and then give back whatever change they needed and tear the ticket in half to give them their half and put the sold half in a jar. That way, the money would be equal to the ticket sales. More on that after I finished this part of the story. Anyway, one night I was scheduled for ticket. Loved that part, as you'll find out. We were having a really good Friday night, about 200 cars with 3 to 4 people each. Prices were by the carload, and $5 got you in. I also sold popcorn at the gate, so I had my own money bag and about 100 boxes of popcorn to sell at 50 cents a box. All well and good. We closed the gate when the opening features started, the commercials, promos for future movies, cartoon, etc. We counted up our monies, both from ticket sales and popcorn. The cashier counted her money and said, "I'm a dime short." "Are you sure?" I asked. I counted, and sure enough, she was a dime short somehow. I had made a bit extra in my count because some folks didn't want change back, so I had a few dollars more than the boxes of popcorn I sold. So I took a dime from my bag to make hers balance. We head back to the snack bar because we still had to help get ready for intermission. Yeah, remember I said we had 5 to 6 to work the snack bar? On weekends, it was usually 5 to 6 to work both sides of the snack bar. So it was going to be real busy for most of the evening. We get back to the snack bar and immediately the manager, who has had a few, starts counting our bags. I mentioned that cashier was a dime short, and I gave a dime from my bag to balance hers. I never got the chance to explain I had tip money. This is how the conversation went. "You're fired." "For a dime?" "Yes. If she was short, she would be fired and have to explain why." But I had tip money, so I could balance her bag for the night. Tip money should have come to me to distribute, not for you to use how you feel. You're fired. So I am sort of glad I can get away from this job. During the summers when we were out repairing the speakers, it got insanely hot and zero shade. We got no breaks for water or bathroom, or got paid for the hours we put in. Okay, I'll leave and pick up my pay on Friday. And I started to walk out. "Wait, you have to finish up before you go." "No, I don't. You just fired me. I guess you'll have to help tonight." He never helped. In fact, we rarely saw him once the movie started, and on Friday and Saturday nights when we were really busy, he brought in female companions for the evening and locked himself in his office. During the week, he would get drunk and pass out. Then we'd open the doors and enjoy the movie while getting ready for intermission. We'd close them right before because the tyrant wouldn't let us watch the movie even if we had nothing to do and was always hovering around at intermission. I felt bad for his wife. I had worked a couple of weeks for her since she was shorthanded, and her and the tyrant were used to helping each other, so all the women that would show up on weekends were there as his entertainment. Anyway, I get in my car, find an empty spot, and watch the rest of the movies for the night, wondering about getting another job. I could have ranted about the dime and argued what I did was the right thing to do, but it would have fallen on deaf ears. And since the next payday was Friday, the owners would be in the main office counting cash and checking records for the 12 drive-ins in the city. I show up and knock on the door to be let in as the office is locked all the time. I explain what had happened and was there for my pay. The owner is a little upset that I did what I did with the dime, but that it wasn't worth firing me for it, and I should have explained the tip money. I said I was never given the chance to tell my side. On another subject, did you know that manager was bringing in hookers on Fridays and not paying us for working on Sundays when we repaired speakers? They didn't know about the hookers, the drinking, or the fact he had turned in time for us working, but took the cash out of our pay and pocketed it. This is Friday night. I have to go to the movie tonight. I go alone and pick a spot near the door to the snack bar. About an hour into the movie, the manager arrives with 2 girls, and they look like they have already started to party, and they go in. 5 minutes after that, a sedan and a police car drive up to the door, and 2 men get out of the sedan, the owners with the police. Not 5 minutes after that, his wife drives up, mad as hell, stomps her way into the building. You could hear the screaming over the volume of the speaker for the movie. The door flies open, the hookers are literally tossed into the yard, the police come out with the manager half dressed in cuffs, and the wife is beating on him with a broom. It was a sight. I was told he was charged with embezzlement, lewd behavior in front of minors, and some other drunken disorderly charges. His wife left him, took over managing most of the drive-ins for the owners, and folks had a good time. Everyone got back pay, including me, so it all worked out. Oh yeah, ticket sales at the gate. Since all of us who worked there were getting crapped on every day, we came up with a little scam of our own. Part of the ticket job was to tear the tickets in half and keep one half for the office, the other for the purchase jar. Well, what we did was tear the ticket in half, give the half to the driver, and then give the next guy the other half of the ticket. $5 to the cashier and ticket duo. Do that for an evening, it was an extra $50 for the night, more than what we got paid for the week. We were all in on it, and since we were scheduled evenly, no one complained about it or felt left out. Manager got convicted for that too. Wait a minute, is anyone else stuck on popcorn for 50 cents? I think that means this was decades ago. OP, were the films still black and white and silent and with an orchestra? All kidding aside though, the manager should never crap on the overworked and underpaid employee. They've probably already got a foot out the door and nothing to lose. On to our next story. Entitled kid chops down my tree, costs her £500,000. Let's jump right in. Background information. We live in an old and big manor that has been split into 3 attached houses. The houses are about 150 years old and were built around 5 huge giant sequoias, which were about 250 years old. In the UK, giant sequoias are very rare, and the 2 in our garden upped the house price by about £60,000. We lived next to 2 really nice neighbors, one young couple and one old couple. The story: unfortunately, our old neighbors passed away, so their child and her family moved in. Let's call her Entitled Mother. Entitled Mother was instantly a pain in the ass. We had been sharing chickens with the previous neighbors, and Entitled Mother agreed to keep sharing them. However, on her nights, she would constantly forget to put them away, so we would have to check them every night anyway. One night, her little brats thought it would be funny to open our personal duck pen in the night. which led to a mass slaughter. Later, the chickens went the same way. About 2 years ago, there was a storm, and one of her sequoias somehow fell over and died. They were distraught, understandably, but from then on, the jealousy started. She would constantly complain about how lucky we were to have 2 sequoias in our garden, and how our sequoia was making too much shade in their garden. It wasn't. Anyway, we just thought it was entitled mother being a pain. There were a few dry threats like they will chop it down, or maybe the next storm will blow it down, but we didn't put much stock into them. That is, until we came back from a holiday to France to find a huge 6-meter stump and nothing else. I mean, how the F do you get rid of a 100-foot tree in like 2 weeks? 2 of our British oak trees had been crushed as well. My mom and sisters were crying, my dad was red in the face, and we had no evidence entitled mother had done it. She claimed that there had been a storm and she had to get rid of it. We had a security camera at the front of the house, but you can get in the back if you go through a few fields. We then were given an £8,000 bill for damages to her property to have the tree chopped up and removed. The wood alone would have been worth a small fortune. We had lost all hope, but after 2 weeks had passed, my dad came running in from the garden to tell us that a wildlife camera we had set up a few months ago and had caught everything. We got a lawyer on the phone and started our revenge. We got a tree surgeon out who said it was an original specimen brought into the UK in 1860, along with the 2 that were in Elveston Castle Country Park. There were originally 218 around the UK, but now there were only 60 left. He told us to call out an engineer because the roots might be in the foundation, and when they rot, it could damage the house, which would mean we would need to redo the foundations. We then took entitled mother to court and sued them for damage to property, trespassing, and emotional damage. It would have cost $250,000 to have another sequoia that was 250 years put in and looked after. It's basically impossible. Plus the damage to the foundation, which was $200,000, and the 2 oaks, which were another $25,000. So, with the emotional damage, it went to about £500,000. They had to move out, and we have now paid off the mortgage, done a lovely loft and kitchen conversion, and have basically done up the house and garden, as well as plant a 60-year-old sequoia tree in the back garden. We also had our kitchen counter and table made out of the old sequoia. We now have a new lovely family living next to us who we share chickens, ducks, and pygmy goats with. They're very nice, and I made a fortune babysitting their kids. I guess you could say the judgment against the neighbor really stumped her plans for retirement anytime soon. I'd like to thank both OPs for posting their stories to the ProRevenge subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.